Well, what we got here is we have this canal that comes in, Butte Creek, comes underneath the highway here, and got the Sacramento River right here. Oh, look at the bird right here. What happened there was that bird was sitting right where the food's coming out, and so I know there's food coming out here. There's only a handful of places this time of year. It's January, freezing cold, north wind. You want to concentrate on where the fish are going to feed. There's no sense to go float down the river and fish everything right now. You might as well just get to where the fish are going to be and where they're going to feed, and eventually one will come in, because there's not many fish this time of year in the winter in our area, and the ones that are here they don't feed much. But if you get to where they are, like what I did is I pulled the boat up on the bank, and I'm going to fan cast all this and work it over real slow. And you know, we're just going for a couple bites today. I mean, that's what it's all about. Get a couple bites. And we got the food chain coming out underneath the road here is the Butte Creek coming out at Ward's Boat Landing. It's got a nice little pond right here. So what I'll do is I'll cast out, I'll let my rubber worm hit the bottom, retrieve it real slow, and I expect to get bit here. I mean, it's just a natural spot.
We're tying up a worm rig here. We're throwing a black rubber worm. First thing in the morning, we like to throw nice rubber worm, wide gap worm hook with a 1/2 ounce bullet weight. I like to tie a Palomar knot on the braid. It seems to be the strongest and hold the best. So what we'll do, get your worm hook, your worm. I like to look at about how long the gap is from where you tie your line to the shank of the hook. Put it in just a tiny bit, loop it on through, on up. So what that does is it gets your head straight, even with the hook. Your hook and your worm length, you want to put a little bit of gap in it, push it straight so it sits nice and flat when it's swimming along the bottom. We're throwing it up on rocky shorelines, sandbars, all sorts of places where these fish are going to be pushing up early in the morning looking for food.
Yeah, I'm only a few casts into this. Here we go. I just absolutely love this rod, but I told Justin last night what was going to happen here. It's just a natural place. Look at the size of that striker.
I met him.
Yeah, my hands are cold. Go ahead and hit him. Look at that bass. See, look at the handle right here. See this longer handle on this rod? This is exactly what it's for, fighting these fish. So you got a light rod. There you go, Robbie. And look at that bass. It's January. Freezing cold. And I was telling Justin last night, I said, Justin, I know where we're gonna go. It just hit me, you know, and I said, I already played out our game plan for today, and this was the first spot. And I said, Justin, I know where this bait's at. I know, you know, it could happen real easy. You just gotta come out and fish. There ain't nobody fishing. It's freezing. Everybody's duck hunting in that. Oh, the water temp's 49 degrees. We're sitting 3 foot, but that black worm, at night, I mean, look at this fish, how beautiful that is. Look at that big old fish. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, gorgeous fish. And this is the middle of winter. You know, from the time I was a kid, we were taught, oh, striper fishing's April, May. And, you know, it's just, the fishermen have gotten so good at catching these fish and that, and it's just putting time on the water.
Yeah, we'll keep them.
Okay.
Have a nice little
Beautiful.
Fish taco.
That's what it's all about, guys. I mean, you come out here and you can get bit in the middle of winter if you're just willing to come out and put your time in. I mean, yeah, what a bite. Wham! There he is, man. I mean, it's freezing. Look, we're just freezing cold, but gosh, that was great. That's what it's all about.
Welcome back to the Sacramento River. I'm Justin Wolf. The Sacramento has a large population of both migratory and residential striped bass, making striper fishing possible year-round. It's about 4:30 in the morning and Wraith has the first fish in the boat using a black plastic worm on a new rod that he helped design.
The extra length on the handle, if you can see, there's about 3 inches extra. it's for casting and it's for fighting fish. It makes it nice. I mean, it just makes it a lot nicer to have that little extra right there. It makes all the difference in the world. So you get a longer cast and for fighting these big fish. I mean, them stripers fight hard. So if you want a real light little rod, you need, you know, it really helps out that extra little bit. So that's why we've added that 3 inches on right there. It's just for fighting bigger fish and getting some distance on your cast without, you know, whipping your arm to death. So this one right here is the 7'3" power. Then we have a 7'6", 4, and all the way on up. So for each species of fish and different techniques we're getting, but this little guy right here, I've just fell in love with. I mean, it's so light and it's unbelievable. Anyways, I fell in love with this rod. Right now, there's single-handedly, this is my go-to rod right now. Swim baits, rubber worms, 1 ounce Gibbs minnows, P-line predators, any kind of light spoon, flipping in that. This is my go-to rod right now. So what I'm doing here is basically we're sitting in a pothole with, there's not much to little current here. And then I'm throwing towards the middle of the river and I'm letting that worm sink down and kind of fall and go with that current ever so slightly. Biggest mistake people make, they throw down current and reel back up and the worm just goes straight to the top. But when you can get this slow curve and get that presentation where you throw out and the current takes it and you're just reeling it along with that current, it's such a natural swim for the worm or whatever lure you're using, especially the worm though. I love throwing it just slightly upstream and then I let it fall with that current and then reel it across there, and all my bites come before it straightens out and comes against the current. All my bite comes as it's falling, and I'm reeling it on the hook. And so you just get a slight hook in it, and oh man. Oh. Oh. So what happened on that one was, okay, if I threw out upriver like I was telling you guys, and I go, okay, it's about 7-8 feet deep there because I'm counting it on the way down. Go ahead and unhook that rod. Look at that fish. That nice little 20-incher. That's perfect eater there. So I'm going to show you guys what I just did. So we got a little bit of current. When your worm gets bad, you got to pull it up fast enough. But let me show you what I just did. And it was picture perfect. So I'm going to throw out upstream just slightly, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it hit on 4, and I was reeling halfway back, and then I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, there it is. And when I threw on that shelf and I came over that and I was bringing it as it was falling, wham, there it was. It was, you know, there it was again. So back to back on the worm. So I'm gonna show you one more time, guys. Here's how we do it. So we're gonna take this worm, we're gonna throw it out there just slightly upriver. Okay, now we're gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just hit. I'm gonna reel a little bit. I'm gonna count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16. There it goes again. So basically, there's a hole. It's pretty deep because I can't get it. But when I threw on that shelf and I felt it hit that shallow water, and then as I brought it over, I know I make about 5 cranks and I'm in that hole. So I'm throwing right at the top edge of it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There it was right there. I just reel a little bit. Okay, now I'm over the top of that hole again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There it is right there. I mean, it's so basically about a second a foot with a ½ ounce weight on a rubber worm.
We're on the Sacramento River fishing for striped bass early in the morning on a cold January day with Ray Herford and Rob Pyatt.
What's happened, guys, is I caught my limit of striped bass. Okay, so I'm limited on stripers. But like I was saying, with the worm and a jerk bait and that, I catch black bass, crappie, catfish once in a while. I even had salmon and stuff like that, sturgeon. Come up and grab it. I'm not, you know, I'm fishing just to get bit. So I like eating my striper. I got my 2 striper, and so now, you know, of course, if I catch a striper, I got to release it. It's catch and release, and then and now, yeah, I can catch black bass. So you're not stuck with just 2 fish. You can come out and catch and release. What if you target just stripers, you know, then I'm done. But I'm not. I'm targeting anything that wants to bite. And you know, like I said, I caught some big old black bass, spotted bass, I think they were. And then there's a cross in here. I think they call them a mean mouth. I'm not big on the bass. I just like catching them. I release them all anyway. I only eat the striper. So, but anyway, so that's what I'm doing now. And just, you know, if I catch a striper, I'll release it because I am tagged out on those. But as far as the other fish, you know, you never know what you're going to catch on a cast. So
Hey, they can't all be big, but like Wraith was saying earlier, guys, it's the middle of January. The water's 40 degrees. And nobody's out here. That's the best part.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Robbie said, it's such a pleasure to be out here. I know it's cold, but to be out here with nobody out here, there's no pressure of, you know, boats running up and down, running over people. And guys, we only live once. I mean, with COVID and everything going on, we got to get along out here. I mean, you see so many people get uptight and worked up over fishing. It's like, man, they miss the meaning. The meaning is just come out and have a good time. And I mean, I've had my fair share of bad days out here, but you know, it's really nice. No pressure of the everyday riffraff, a bunch of people, boats in and out. We're at the boat ramp. We're sitting in front of the boat ramp catching fish and having a good time. And that's what it's all about. So let's have some fun. You know, get out and go fishing. Just change your tactics a little and you know, slow your presentation down. You're going to catch fish. And eating wise, these cold water striper, you can't get any better than, I mean, my favorite. So, yep. One thing after catching a fish on a worm, and I always expose my hook. Now, if you get into real heavy brush, you can poke it back in, but you always want to check your point. That point is razor sharp. If you hit a rock or something, it'll burr the tip, and then you'll miss your fish. You'll get the bite, and you set the hook, and he ain't there. But with the rubber worm, the biggest mistake they make, I find, is they think you got to go down the bank, and you do catch a lot on the bank. But if you can find a spot like we're fishing now, where you got a shallow, you got water coming in, you're not throwing at the bank, so you're throwing on basically a shallow gravel bar, and it drops off into a hole. And you got soft current. You know, even if you have heavy current, you just throw it a little farther upstream, but you get that swing. But throwing on the bank, well, everybody in the river's throwing at the bank, you know. So those fish are going to get picked off pretty fast. And so if you can find a spot like we're fishing here, I mean, the boat ramp's right there. And so, but instead of floating down, throwing at the bank, we stopped. And we're going to work this. It's got like a swirling eddy here where the water's coming in. It slows up the river ever so slightly. And we got current out there, but we also have a drop off. And I know there's a ton of bait here, because there's always bait here, and there's always birds and everything else feeding on them, and fish jumping everywhere. But I love throwing onto an underwater gravel bar. So you need to pay attention out here, guys, and find your 3 foot of water or 7 foot of water, anything with a drop off where a fish can stage up on and sit there and ambush. You know, all they're doing is ambushing stuff coming over the top of it. So he's underneath that lip. He's going to come up and grab that as it falls into its hole. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm throwing it slightly upstream, hitting that bottom, and then bringing it over that lip. And then we'll let it fall a little bit more down into his hole, and then we'll reel it back, finish reeling in. This is the old rods we used to use, that length right there. And then Justin and I came out with the little extra on the rod for casting and fighting fish. That extra is huge. I mean, because I'm always reaching down right on the end, I can get, without putting the effort, my arms are going bad, my elbows, my tendons, everything's getting bad. As you get older, you guys will see, it'll get bad. So it's less to cast with. Once you put that hand down on the end of that rod, you don't have to put the effort in to get the distance you want of casting. So and then fighting fish is huge. So that extra, because it gives you extra power on the rod, whether you want to hold it down the end when you're fighting your fish and that, so you can pinch it into your side. But that is the difference right there. That's what we came up with, and for me, it's making a huge difference in my fishing. As far as tough goes, we haven't broke one yet.
Welcome back to the Sacramento River. I'm Justin Wolf. Twilight is painting its picture over the river, signaling it's time to make a change.
It's almost light now, so we'll throw a little swim bait. So we'll do, so I'm gonna do some big glide bait. We're gonna go for a big fish in that. So, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna anchor up again and key in on the spot where some water's coming in out of the pipe. We're hoping some bait's in there and that. So that's we're getting ready. We'll switch things up here. We got this water coming in out of this pipe, so we're gonna set up on them and just work it real slow like we were doing the other one. It's winter, so you got to work this stuff real slow, and so we'll just cast at it and see what happens. I think that's good, Robert. And well, I had to go to a bigger rod. The 3 power is just not enough, so this is the 4 power. You know, so I have to have a bigger rod. And what I did is I put some new line on my reel, so I've got to definitely let the line out. You want to let your braid out and reel it back and get it tight, because if you hook a big fish, it's going to pinch down in. But with this bigger rod, I can handle that bigger bait. And it's just 1 step bigger, one power heavier. And it's got the long handle again and all that. And what I'm doing right here is I'm just getting my memory on my line so I can make good casts, don't backlash and that. But if you can see, we got roe. I got roe all over this rod. I've been really using it a lot for hanging bait, flatfish, back trolling flatfish. It's been real good for that. Live bait would be fine. This is your all-around everything rod right here. I mean, you can use it for everything. Bait fishing stripers, catfish, back trolling for salmon, hanging roe for salmon. It's an all-around. And what I really like it for is this smaller glide bait. It's really nice. It casts really well. It's teamed up just perfect with it. I've got a little bigger Corrado here, the 300E, and so we're gonna get cast control set. That's real important. And here we go. What I found is if you don't put the lure right where that water's coming out, you're not gonna get fish. I mean, you've got to get it right up against there, otherwise they just will not bite it. Used to be real good here, but then they cleaned all the weeds out, and there's a trail that people have beaten up going down. Back in the day, you couldn't get down to here. The only way you could fish it was out of the boat. So every time I'd come here, we'd catch a fish. Of course, I brought Justin here on the first time we ever did a show together, and he caught a salmon on a rubber worm, so that was kind of cool. Well, this is where we were earlier. The fish were at the bottom. Now they can see. I'm gonna throw this glide bait over them. See if I can't get a big one to come up, and then we'll switch to because the water's clean, so we're gonna switch to swim baits as well. So I'll throw a few casts with this, a few jerk baits, and then we'll go right to the swim bait. And what we'll do with the swim bait, we'll be able to throw it out there, hit the bottom, and reel it off it, and we will catch fish that way. This guy's I'm gonna let that hit the bottom out here. I'm gonna let it hit the bottom and then bring it off the bottom. Throw it out there and we'll let it sink down, hit the bottom. Then I'll reel it back slow through there. The salmon like these, oh man, springtime we were just killing the salmon on these. Oh, there he is, right there. Yep. I mean, I told you I was gonna first cast, I switched up. Those fish, they're down there on the bottom, so see how that hook just fell out? Nice chunky bass. But it was the first cast with that swim bait, so, And this was on the little heavier rod. Man, it did. I mean, I about broke that poor little guy's neck with that one. But I was using it on the bigger one, and put that swim bait on, let it hit the bottom. I know that hole's out there, so I just let it fall, bring it through there. Boom. All right. First cast. Yeah, this rod's the 4-power. This is the one this is your all-around rod. This is, I mean, it's strong enough and heavy enough to bring in anything. But swim baits, it's really, really good with swim baits, heavier swim baits, and then the smaller glide baits. Hang and row, I really like it for hang and row, and also back troll and quick fish. Killer fish is good, but I threw that out there, and I mean, they make a 5-power one too. You would have broke that fish's neck if you set the hook on him, but this one, it had all the power I needed for that little guy. But yeah, he came up and just smoked that swim bait. Yeah, the sun came up and the fish went away. Can't get a bite. Just, I mean, the sun came out and it just went kaput. But anyways, guys, yeah, we had a good morning. I'm real happy with that. 4 fish, beautiful fish to eat, and all that. And you guys got to see what we're doing this time of year and how we're fishing them. And most of the action came right here at the boat ramp. So till next time, good fishing.